Old stories like long-lost friends, rodeos and late-night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast, brought to you by the Ben Johnson Cowboy Museum, located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. It's old Cody over here, and as always, I have my old co-host with me, Mr. Rodeo historian himself, Jimbo Snively. Hey, Jimbo. Good morning. How you doing, and who do we have today?
Hey, Cody boy. It's just another great day in Osage, man. And, Cody, we've got world champion bull rider Matt Austin with us today. And Cody, he had arguably the greatest single season in the history of pro rodeo. In 2005, he won the PRCA Bull Riding World's Championship and the NFR Average Championship with winnings of over $320,000 in a single event, eclipsing Terry Don West's previous bull riding record by over $100,000. He broke Ty Murray's 12-year-old record for money won in a single season, and Murray did it in 3 events. And, of course, Matt just worked the bull riding. He won the championship bull riding tour and average titles, which we won like $85,000 in that. He won the Xtreme Bulls Championship. He won the College National Finals Rodeo. And, of course, he won Cheyenne. I mean, just won everything you could win that year. And we're just tickled to have him with us today. And, Matt, welcome to the Cowboy of the Osage podcast.
Hey, good morning. Thank you guys for having me on. Looking forward to a great day.
Matt, you grew up in a rodeo family or cowboy family, is that right?
Yes, sir. My granddaddy, Boyd Austin, he grew up with, there around Mesquite and was real good friends with Neil Gay and Neil would always, he'd laugh, and my granddad would tell me, he said, Neil would always save my granddaddy for last there at Mesquite because he knew he was either going to make a really good rider or he was going to get wrecked out and hang up because he was pretty good about that. And my Uncle Denny Austin, he rode saddle bronc, and of course my dad Lonnie Austin, he rode all 3 events.
Wow. So
it's kind of in my blood.
Yeah. Did you do any roping?
Yes, sir. Growing up, I team roped and rode saddle bronc horses, and of course, I had a lot of opportunities growing up. Daddy had a rodeo company. We put on high school rodeos and amateur rodeos down here, so I was always picking up or roping bulls or something like that. And that's something that I would do in the pastime. Is I love the team rope. Head hill steers, and I used to go catch everybody's wild cows, and that was something I'd love to do also. So the cowboy life's just always been in me.
Hey, Matt. So
yes, sir.
You started off going to junior rodeos and high school rodeos, and what made you decide to primarily start focusing on the bull riding?
Well, when I first started college in 2002, and I could really ride saddle bronc horses really good, but bull riding, I just love the bull riding so much, and that's what I grew up wanting to do. That's the first thing I ever did, and when I got out of college and got serious about it, of course the PBR had come along, but me growing up watching rodeo, it was the national finals was where to be. That was the place to be, and to me, when the PBR come along, it done wonders for the bull riding. But, to me, it was more prestigious to the guys in the rodeo, they got to go to 75, 100 rodeos, and you're riding in the snow, the rain, the heat, the blistering cold, and you may be indoors, you may be outdoors. You got to be the absolute best one of the best 15 in the world, you know, to go to the national finals. And to me, that was just more of a prestigious deal, you know, the rodeo way of life, the living out of your truck and your suitcase. You know, I love that stuff.
Who were some of your heroes growing up, Matt?
Of course, you know, my dad, my granddaddy was some of my heroes.
Sure.
And of course, you know, I looked up to Lane Frost and Tuff Hedeman, Clint Bronger, Brent Thurman, those guys like that, you know, the old school guys, you know, Denny Flynn, and of course I watched a lot of the older guys, you know, that was kind of before my era, because that's who my dad had rode with, you know, Ken Wilcox and those type of guys right there is who I grew up. And those guys back in the day, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of style to their riding. But what I loved about them guys is them guys knew how to bear down and try, you know.
Right. You know, you see a lot of bull riders now, and I shouldn't be criticizing because I wouldn't get on one for $1 million, but you see a lot of young bull riders that get on a bull, and as soon as they come out of chute, it looks like they're looking for a place to get off.
You know, and that's the bad thing, Jimbo. You know, and they've bred these bulls so much now they're going to have to start breeding cowboys. You know, and that's something that, you know, you look now, you know, you got all this technology and stuff like that, and I remember going to little rodeos by the house when I was riding steers and stuff, and there'd be 15 to 20 steer riders, and there'd be 30 to 40 open bull riders, and you don't see that anymore, you know. And you know, of course the world has changed, and you know, but you don't guys nowadays don't grow up working or have that try or just that work ethic thing. You know, I still get up and go to work every day and weld and bang on stuff, and you know, but that's how my daddy raised me, you know, to be, you know, just tough, and that you don't see a lot of that old cowboy mentality anymore. You know, it's kind of like when Urban Cowboy come out. You know, there wasn't a lot of cowboys, then Urban Cowboy come out. Well, then there's a lot of cowboy hats and boots being sold, but you know,
right.
But I know what you're saying. You know, I hate going to a deal and seeing 40 bull riders and one guy might make the whistle. You know, it's just it's kind of a different era now. You know,
right? It sure is.
Well, I think it's too. The guys aren't hungry like they used to. You know, I've been reading Barry Brown's book, The Bionic Bull Rider, and it's a fascinating story. But them guys, I mean, they kind of lived from rodeo to rodeo back in the day. I mean, if they didn't stay on, they didn't eat. And them guys, they did it because they absolutely loved what they did. And I think that's something that you gotta have in everything that you do. You gotta love what you do. And you know, the old saying is, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. Well, who helped you in the bull riding as you were coming up?
My dad.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I would just have to say my dad, you know, and of course, when I got serious about it, we built a pen there by the house, and I had a couple of bulls we bought the sale barn. I'd get on and ride and stuff. And, but I was always going and riding horses or doing something. You know, there used to be lots of buck outs around the houses and stuff, and I'd go to all them buck outs. And I mean, if there was a place to ride, we was going. You know, buddies might have a little pen, and their daddies might be at work, and we'd go pen all the heifers, and we'd buck their heifers and stuff. And you know, it was something that you know, I just loved to do. And if there was a place that they was bucking or had something to ride, I was gonna go. And of course, you know, Dad, we was always trying different stuff, and of course my dad would get on, and my dad, he's 60 something now, so he was in his 50s and stuff when I was really starting to go, and he would get on bulls too there at the house with me, and we'd just try different stuff, and we would try things at work, you know, and my dad, he helps a lot of guys right now. He has bull riding schools and stuff, he said what made him a good teacher was teaching me, because he tried to see the different stuff that would work and stuff that wouldn't work, and we just apply it and do different things, and that's kind of where we got our technique from, just trying different things and going back to the basics of bull riding. And two, Jim Schroeder said one time, he said the key to riding bulls is staying on your rope. And, that's, you look at them old school guys that they just stay on the rope. They slide a fur, they stick their chest out and lift on the rope and get a hold. They stayed on the rope and they just stuck to the basics. There wasn't all this whooping and moving and all that stuff. And I help a few kids around the house, and that's one thing that they've kind of, that's their main problem, is they go to whooping that free arm because they see it on TV. Well, you can cut your free arm off. It'll ride better without an arm than with an arm. Right. So,
there used to be a one-arm bareback rider up here, Jimbo. Used to enter all the amateur rodeos and prairie circuit rodeos up here. I don't remember what his name was, but I actually saw him get a no score one time for touching the horse with his free hand.
Oh, God.
Yeah, pretty hard.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. Must have been, what was left of his arm there a little bit may have been rubbing on him. But, yeah, I wish I could remember that guy's name. But, yeah, there used to be a one-arm bareback rider up in this neck of the woods up here.
I bet
man.
I bet he was stout in that one hand, but probably could hold on.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are pretty stout in that one hand when they're riding bareback horses, Jimbo.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely on that.
Hey, Matt, I've been kind of wondering a couple things, and since I got a true blue, one of the best bull riders to ever live here, I'm going to ask you. So, what is the difference in the American way of riding bulls and the Brazilian way of riding bulls? I've been seeing this on the PBR and stuff for the last few years. What's the main difference on those guys from down there and us from up here?
You mean as far as the riding, or just like the rope and stuff?
The rope and stuff is pretty much what I'm meaning.
Okay. Yeah, the rope, it pulls backwards. Say like I'm right-handed, so my American rope, it's going to pull from the right side. So with the Brazilian rope, if I'm right-handed, it pulls from the left side. And it goes across, and so I take the wrap around. It's kind of backwards, wrapping your hand backwards and stuff. And what they say is because like I say, if I'm right-handed and I'm using a Brazilian rope and it pulls from the left side and I take my wrap, what they say is that pull of that rope is pulling you to the left, so it's pulling you more to the center, versus American rope, if it's pulling from the right, it's got a tendency to kind of want to pull you to the right down there. And that's what they say the difference is. And of course, I roll with American rope my whole life. It never felt like it was pulling me down to the right or anything like that. But I know one thing about the Brazilian ropes is because you're pulling that thing from the left. If you was to buck off away from your hand, it's pretty much impossible to hang up, because that's the way that your hand opens up that way. So that's really the only difference in it. And a kid I help, he has one, and I don't know if I really like them per se, because the handhold really don't pull down all the way. And of course, when I was riding bulls, I'd run my hand in there and I'd want that sun gun to pull all the way down. I want to be against that bull's back. But, apparently it works, because them Brazilians come over here like a house of fire and taking everybody's money. So if I had to crack back out, I might get me one thing. It might be a lucky charm.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had an unfair advantage with their ropes, or those guys were just hungrier, coming from a different part of the world, coming here to win all this money, holding on a little tighter than the guys. So I just been wondering what's made these Brazilians so much better than everybody.
Well, I tell you what, it's not the rope. It's just like we go talk about. Them guys come over here and they're hungry. They come from. I got to be really good friends with Robson Palermo. He's won the PBR finals like 3 times, and them guys come over and it's a poor country over there, but them guys come over here and they're hungry and they work at it. Them guys are tough. They're out there every day. They're working in the gym. They're lifting weights. and they work at it, and they put more work into it than the Americans. And I remember when they first started coming over here, and I mean, I'd hear the guys say, "Man, them guys need to go back to their own country." This thing, I'm thinking, no, you just need to work a little bit harder if you want to beat these guys. It ain't. I said it ain't nothing about where they come from. They're out working your ass.
It's the world champion, not the USA champion here, boys.
Yeah, and that's and to me that's with any. I mean, I've seen guys. Some guys have so much natural talent that they didn't have to work at it. It was just they didn't work out or anything like that. I mean, they just was. Justin McBride, he was one of those guys. He never worked out or nothing. He's 2-time PBR world champion, and the guy was just. I mean, he's just kind of a freak, but he could do it. And then there's other guys that that work out at it, and to me, I always wanted to try to be the best, so I was going to put in work, and to me, I think that makes what it makes a champion is the guy that puts out the work and puts out the effort. And I mean, you look at any great, you look at Trevor Brazile. I mean, you probably can't count how many times he's practiced or roped in the practice pen, or the days, the countless hours, or just riding down the road to taking his kids to school, roping an air steer or whatever, and that's something about a champion to me is they're always working. They're always striving to get better because they never think they can quit learning, but they want to get to that next level that they think they can get better and get better and get better. And to me, that's what makes a great champion.
Besides the work ethic, what makes a good bull rider? Is it balance or strength or what, or all of the above?
I think it's all of the above. You gotta have some balance. You gotta have some, and I think it's too just a good old bear down, grit and try.
Right.
What makes it a good bull rider, and some they never give up, they never quit attitude.
Right. What was it Donnie Gay used to say? If you don't land on your head, you're not trying hard enough. Something like that.
That's right. Or don't quit trying till your back of the head hits the ground.
Right. And you see a lot of guys just hop out there on their feet, and stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right about that.
I think the sponsorships in this PBR, these boys are doing pretty darn good before they even nod their head on a lot of times. Are they not, Matt?
Oh yeah, of course. Like I say, I wasn't in the PBR much, but the sponsorships have really come along too, and and it's kind of like I think a guy's mentality can kind of get like a NFL players or something, or like you see them guys. Well, they got $1 million contract. Well, they get hurt. Well, I'm not going to perform. Right. I've already got the money, and I know for me, when I got my big sponsors and stuff, and it was a big check, and it was kind of relief off my back. And it's like, well, I kind of had some thoughts. Well, I'm not going to have to go as hard now. And then I went to think, I said, I can't rely on this. I said, I'm going to be the best. I said, I'm not going to rely on this. This is kind of like a bonus money or whatever. I said, I'm not going to use this as a cushion in my life. And that's the kind of mentality that the thoughts will get sometimes. Well, I can slack off or that's kind of like in 05 when I rode, I kept a vision in my head that I was in second place the whole time, but there was a dark horse guy in front of me that I had to catch. And of course I had an $80,000 lead over second place going into the finals, but I had a mindset that I'm in second place. And then I kept this dark horse. And of course we can't let the money or the fame and all that define us or overcome us or the pro rodeo says, oh, I'm first right now, blah, 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 because there's always somebody right there behind you that's going to want to catch you.
Rodeo is a very humbling sport sometimes.
It is, and I tell you what, I miss it every day because it was such a free way of life, getting to travel all over the United States and hanging out with your buddies and the camaraderie with your buddies. That's probably what I miss the most about rodeo. And it's so funny that people still remember who I am to this day. That that might have met me one time, and that was one thing that I love to do is I would stop and I would talk to anybody, and if I met you one time, you're part of my family for life. I've just always been that kind of person, and that's probably the biggest thing that I miss about rodeoing anymore. It's just that camaraderie and that the freeness that you have, and just the people also.
Who were your traveling partners, Matt?
My rookie year, I traveled with Robbie Conja, Brian Richardson, and Logan Knibbe. Of course, they was all Robbie and Brian had been to the NFR already, and of course, I high school rodeo with Brian, and all three of them guys ended up making it to going to the national finals. But my rookie year, they took me in their wing and showed me how to rodeo and stuff, and entered me and all that. Then the next 2 years I rodeoed with DJ Domain and Kobe Yates. We had a good time. Of course, we was always kind of hopping in with other guys and stuff, but we had a buddy that used to work for my dad. He started driving for us in 2004. His name was Brad Knowles, and he was a driving son of a gun too. And that was a relief more than anything. Is not having to drive, is spending on that driver. We'd pay him 10% of what we want everywhere. And of course, we had a Capri camper, with a shower and all that on it, and we had a good time. Had a good time rodeoing.
Did you fly much back then, Matt?
I flew a little bit. If I didn't have to fly, I wouldn't. I didn't like flying much.
A bull rider was being scared to fly, Jimbo. Never thought I'd hear such a thing.
I know.
Yeah, they used to tease me about that. They said, "You get on these bulls, you don't get on no plane." I said, "Yeah, I got a little bit control over that bull. I can decide when I want to get off him." I said, "I can't decide when I get off that plane." I said, "If something goes wrong, but yeah, if I didn't have to, if we could drive it, we'd drive it." But
this is what I tell people. Look at the stats. Way more people survive a car crash than a plane crash. End of story.
That's right. Well, and that's what I would do when I would fly. When I would look at the stats, and I would look at the airline that had the least amount of crashes. So I always went with Southwest because they was always pretty good.
I don't think Southwest has ever had a crash.
I don't know if they have or not, but it was like
I'm not jinxing.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, what would you guys do in your downtime between rodeos? I knew Colby Yates. Wasn't he somewhat of a singer? Did he do any singing on the road while you guys were traveling a little bit?
Oh, yeah. He always had his guitar. Of course, he was always playing and cutting up and trying to write songs, and all that. But in our downtime, most of them guys, they like playing golf. I didn't because I was horrible at it. So if they go play golf, I'd just drop them off the golf course and I'd go wash the truck or something, clean the truck out. But no, if we had some downtime, we might be in a motel or play some cards or go to the movies or putt or just try to find something to entertain us for a little bit. But the downtime, every year around Puyallup, Washington, and all that, it was about September, right before Pendleton and all that, into August. We would stay at Myron DeWard's house there in Washington, and we would be there for about 3 weeks. And, all the top 20 guys would stay there. And, of course, we'd float the river and cook out and throw horseshoes and just kind of have a good time.
I always enjoyed that time of year going up to those rodeos in the north, up there in the Northwest. I enjoyed it, but it was a little stressful time of year on top of it. But yeah, those rodeos up there, they treat you good, Jimbo. They treat you real good.
And the weather's nice.
Yes, the weather's nice from leaving here and heading up there. It's a good change.
Oh yeah, and it was real nice to relax. And of course, the first year we went up there, we floated the river. Well, then the next couple of years we was going to, we'd all piled down in there, but they'd had so much snow that all that snow was melting running that river, and that river was freezing cold. So we skipped out on the river floating a couple of years after the first year. But that first year we went, man, there was a group of about 30 of us guys. I got some pictures somewhere around the house, and boy, we had a good time. I mean, we floated that river all day long. Of course, we drank some beer and had a good time. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell Jimbo. My downtime, all I did to seem was get in trouble ever on my downtime. It always had to do with a beer joint or a beer stand.
Yeah. You know, I probably could have got a lot of trouble if I was a big drinker. Of course, when I rodeoed, you know, I wasn't a big drinker. I'd have one every now and again and stuff, but I wanted to tend to business. But there's a couple of my buddies that, boy, they like to get on that beer and they'd get in some trouble. And it was always me trying to get them bailed out or getting in trouble, trying to save them from getting in trouble.
We all need a friend like you, Matt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Hey, let's go back to your rookie year.
Okay.
What was it like entering some of those rodeos like Cheyenne and, maybe Calgary and stuff like that when you were getting to go to them the first time?
Oh, I guess 2003 was my rookie year, and they actually, that was the year that they changed the rodeo rule. They, used to go to 125 rodeos in Macon County. Well, that year, 2003, they had they changed it to you can go as many as you want to, but you can only count 75 rodeos. So when you called and entered the rodeo, you had to tell them either official or unofficial. So I was going around and was trying to get my qualifications up, and then I'd won some money the first year and stuff, and so I got in the truck with Robbie and Brian and Logan, and they would just enter me everywhere they went, on the buddy system, because it was, of course, they had their qualifications was up, so I had a good chance to get in. So if I got drawed out, I got drawed out and stuff. But when my season really took off is right for the big summer run. That was the year that they had the Xtreme Bulls, and I got entered in Salt Lake City in the Xtreme Bulls, and it was pretty cool walking in there. But them guys was looking at me. Of course, I bought me this shirt, Fort Worth. It was black, had these roses stitched on it. It was pearl snap. It was pretty snazzy, And I come walking in, and of course, all these guys, Blue Stone, Cody Hancock, Myron DeWar, Tyler Fowler, all those guys, they looking at this little old skinny 4-eyed nerd, just thinking, well, who's this guy? Maybe he's just carrying their rigging bag or something, And well, I show up there and I ride a really good one in the first round. It was like 87. Those guys kind of went to watching me. On the short round, I drew a bull. I hadn't been ridden much of Diamond G's, and he done been in the national finals and stuff. They called Wanna Dancing. I mean, he turned back right there in the left, and Terry Don had just won the tour finale deal on him a few months before. And I mean, here I was, a little old 4-eyed skinny kid, just stuck it on this fucking dude for like it was a day off, Then they went to taking notice of me, and I think I won 26,000 that night. It was the most I'd won at one time. And then after there, I was getting in everything because my qualifications. I went from like 40 something in the world to like 18th, and then I was right just kind of out of the top 15 all year long. But especially going to Cheyenne that year, and one of a rodeo that you see growing up and so much history, and it was amazing. But actually, I'd went to Cheyenne the year before. I drove all the way up there because they had the PBR out there on the stage, and I remember driving up there, and I got there real late in the morning or real late at night, and I was woken up by bombs going off, and I thought we was being attacked. But what they do is they have these jets that fly over every morning, and then they drop these big bombs and stuff to start the rodeo and stuff. But here I was laying in this camper. I had a little camper at the time. It was just enough. So I raised up, and of course I banged the crap out of my head and stuff, and I'm thinking I'm things are blowing up, none of it's get exploded and all that. But Cheyenne, it's such an awesome rodeo, and everything that they have going on, and the history of it, and the wild horse races and the Indian stuff, and it's man, that's by far my favorite rodeo of all times, and just the amount of livestock that they buck and how fast they run that rodeo, it's awesome.
Did you ever have much luck at Calgary?
I went to Calgary one time in 2006, and I had some luck there. That's when they first they did it. It wasn't the entry deal; it was the invite deal. They took the top 12 from the PRCA, the top 12 from the PBR, the top 12 from the Canadian standings, and they invited 12 people. And the way they did it is they kind of shuffled us around and put us in pools. You had a pool A, a pool B, a pool C, and a pool. There was 3 or 4 pools, and in each pool, we had to get on 4 bulls, and then the top 4 from those pools. See, there were 4, 8, 12. No, there was 3 pools. So, in 3 pools, there was 12 guys, I think. But they took the top 4 from each pool to the 12 round. They took the top 8 from the 12 round to the 8 round, and they took the top 4 from the 8 round to the final 4 round. And I remember I made it. I won some really good money in the go rounds and stuff, and I made it all the way to the 8 round. And I'd never had anything happen like this before. And I was just to win the 8 round and get a chance at the 100,000 and go to 4 round. And I had this bull called Baby Cowtown or Cowtown Junior or something of Franklin's, and he was a big old red bull, and he had big old horns. And that son gun, he turned right there in the gate to the right, and he was bucking, kicking over his head, and every round I'd see that horn swash in front of my face, and I just kind of blow my chest out, Well, about 6 seconds, he kind of just pulled me down just a little bit, and that horn caught me on the side of the head, and he just hooked me off his back. And when he did, he threw me right in front of him. Well, this big son of a gun, he just jumps on me, and he just commences to hooking. His head is square on my chest, and he just commences to just trying to wear me out. Well, his horns are so big, they're hitting on each side of me. He's not doing anything to me, but I'm pinned down because I can't move. And he's just going to town, and I see cowboy hats flying, and he's not getting off of me. Well, Daryl Diefenbach, he saved my life that day. I see the bullfighter slapping on him and everything else. Well, Daryl, he just runs, and he just jumps on that son of a gun's head. When he does, he grabs him underneath his neck with his hands where he'd hold on to him. And when he did that, old Cowtown, he just shot up off of me and jumped straight backwards. He flung old Diefenbach up probably 15 foot in the air, and Diefenbach hit the ground, and that bull just smoked the Diefenbach again. But if it wasn't for Diefenbach that day, I'd still be underneath that bull.
Wow. It's funny how they just get stuck on you sometimes like that, and they just can ignore what's going on around them, It's just strange.
Oh yeah, and then he was that kind, and I never had one that just camped on me like that. I've been mauled and run over, but that sucker, he was staying there. And I tell you what, that was my first and only trip to Calgary, and I loved it. The people, the scenery, the people in Canada, to me, they're awesome. They're so friendly and just. It's a different country, but if you ever get a chance to go, it's an amazing rodeo to go to.
And Jimbo's granddad won it back in 1951.
Yeah, he won the Cav Open in 1951.
Really?
We've got the bronze here in the museum.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was sure wanting to. I'd sure wanting to win that because it paid $100,000 and all that. That sure been nice to have.
Well, imagine. Matt, 2005, that was just a magical year. That was a year that Cowboys dream about. You must have just felt like you were in the zone, were you?
Oh, I was, Jimbo. That year, 2005, and every year I'd set goals, and I'd write them goals on a piece of paper, and then I'd frame them up on a frame in my bedroom. And of course, I'd carry them goals with. Coming off of a 2004, being runner up to the World Championship, and my goal in 2004 was just to make the national finals, and here I came this close to winning the World Championship. And 2005, that was my goal. And the good Lord works in mysterious ways, and that was I've been blessed my whole life, but I mean that year right there, I mean I could do no wrong. I could draw no bad bulls, or and it was just. It's like in everything, like a race car driver or whatever, when they find that perfect car and they get in that zone and they're getting that position, everything just flows. And that's how it was. And that's kind of how it was from then on, from 2006 too. It was just the year 2005, everything just went, but like I say, going back, I had that vision in my head that I was in second place, and there's a guy out in front of me, and I had to catch him. And I think that's what helped me so much too. And somebody asked me one time, I said, well, did you ride that good because of the money? I said, no. I said, I rode that good because I loved it. I said, I didn't think of the money. I wasn't thinking of the gold buckle. Of course, it was in the back of my head. I said, but I did it because I loved it. I said, every time I nodded and got on the bull, I said that I loved it. I loved that feel that drawing a buck and throwing a gun and him leaping up underneath of me, or drawing one that they hadn't been rode. And I said it was just, and I said my technique and my form was just, I'd worked at it to get to that level. And it was just, everything was just flowing, but my attitude was good too. I believe if I was entered, I had a chance to win. I remember in 05, we was there at Cheyenne. Of course, during Cheyenne, we'd always go to Deadwood too. And some guys, and I was winning Cheyenne at the time. And they said, "You going to Deadwood?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What do you got?" I said, "Well, I got fire in the cork hose." And of course, they hadn't been over 70 points on that stuff down all year long. And I said, "You gonna go get on that no bucking son of a gun?" I said, "Well, heck yeah." I said, "My name's in the hat. I got as good a chance as anybody." I said, "He's on the trailer, so they're hauling him for something." They said, "Well, you're crazy. I said, "Well, I'm gonna go get on him." Well, I get there, no Deadwood, it's got them wooden chutes and no fire, and he's just a little old, short, red kind of cow horn bull, and I nodded for him. When I did, I kind of jobbed him in the chute, and he kind of bucked in the chute, and when he did, he hung his horn. And that son gun come out there, and he spun a hole right there in the ground. I mean, he bucked, and that was 89 points, and went hole right down the son of a gun. But, it's things like that could, you never know what's going to happen, and that's what I told those guys at rodeo, that, they was all about turning out bulls or this and that. Of course, I mean, I'd turn one out if it was far off, or I just knew he was just a hunk of junk. But I said the majority of the time, I was, if I can get there, they're hauling this son of a gun for a reason, And I said, and I get there, and of course, firing, he usually would just hop and skip in a big old circle, right in front of the buck chute. That day, he hung his head, and I mean, he turned right there at the gate, and I mean, he did buck. And I get back, and they say, "Well, how was the day money?" I said, "Well, the day money was all right." I said, "But the prize money was really good." They said, "What's prize money?" I said, "I think I win $4,000 or $5,000. I said, "I won the bull ride." They said, "No, you did." I said, "I dang sure did." They said, "What?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That old cow horn sucker." I said, he bucked in there and hung his horn, come out back and spun a hole in the ground.
That's when you know you're going good.
Yeah. It was things like that, but I didn't sweat the small things. I took the good with the bad and just, kept a positive attitude. And I was there to win first. And if I didn't, and if I tried my best, that's all that mattered.
You mentioned saddle broncs a while ago. Have you ever wondered if you'd rode a few saddle broncs that year that you might have won the all around? Yeah,
I thought about that, and I thought about, maybe entering in the roping too, but it was, and guys was trying to get me too, and I thought, I said, I'm gonna have more fun on this bull riding and stuff, but I probably wouldn't have fared too well in the bronc riding because I hadn't rode in a while, especially after seeing some of them northern broncs. That's a whole different story to Texas broncs. Them big feather-legged suckers getting bucked now.
That $320,000, is that still the record for a single event for a season?
No, sir. Of course, they upped the money. The money's come up since then, especially at the national finals. The national finals to go around used to pay 15. Now it pays like 20. The average used to pay 40, now it pays 60. No, I think Sage Kimsey, I think he beat that several years ago. Might have beat it several times. But to me, records are made to be broke.
Sure, Sure, absolutely.
I'm sure it's nice to hold it one time for sure.
Oh yeah,
320,000 in your pocket.
Especially beating Ty Murray's record because he held it for 13 years and he did it in 3 events.
Right.
And me coming and doing it in one event. It was a special moment and a special day, and the times change, money's changed. It's gotten on up there like it's supposed to. You want to see rodeo grow, and you want to see the guys after you get better and get more. But yeah, that year it was such a. I think I broke the Terry Don's record for regular for single season. I guess that's right before the finals. I think I did that at Cheyenne. And those are things that when you're going, you don't think about it, and then when it happens, you're like, wow, I really did something. And people ask me every day, well, do you miss it? And I'm, well, heck yeah, I miss it every day. I said, there's not a day that don't go by that I don't think about riding bulls or I said, it's something that never leaves you. I said, I don't care if you rode a bull 1 time or 5 times or roped a steer, this and that. I said, it's something about the rodeo and the cowboy way of life that gets in your blood. I said, it never leaves you. I work in a coal mine now. I weld and work on drag lines and mechanic and stuff like that. But every day I'm thinking about ranching or riding horses or cows or bulls and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Because that's where your peace was at. That's where your sense of your peace was at in that. Of course, the cattle business is kind of tough right now down here, so I'm glad I don't got any cows right now. I'd probably be starving instead. So,
Really?
Oh, we're just so dry down here, and everything.
Well, we were awful dry, and we got a 2.5-inch rain last week, and healed us up,
right.
helped us a lot. But it's sure been a hot, dry summer.
Oh yeah, we have not had.
Hey Matt, when you make it out there to Vegas,
Sir?
Hey Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah.
When you get out there to Vegas to the NFR, what's it like out there? What's it like to be a contestant out there? What's the atmosphere like?
I tell you what. The first time I went to the NFR was in 2003 when I won the Rookie of the Year. I went out there. Of course, they gave me a 5-night stay to the 5 nights to the rodeo and all that. Of course, I had to get all my buckling stuff on the arena floor. So I get out there, and I think it's like the 4th performance. Then I get my stuff on the 5th performance, and I go sit in the stands that night and watch. And I mean, of course, it's Vegas, and I'm wow, like, man, I almost made it here, and this and that. Well, I'm sitting in the stands, and I'm like, I tell myself, I got to come back tomorrow to get my buckle. But I said, after that, I'm never stepping foot in this place until I make it. So the next night, I had to go on the arena floor, get my buckle and all that. Of course, I had tickets for the next 3 nights. I just give them away to somebody down the street. I said, I'm not going back. So 2004 was the first year I made it, and I'm like, we get there, and of course we're doing the grand entry practices and all that, and it's just amazing, and it's like. And I'm not really nervous, and, people ask, well, you going to be nervous? And it's fine. No, it's just another rodeo, Well, that first night, we start roping our bulls up about right when the calf roping starts. So we get our bulls roped up, and we're standing on the back of the bucket chutes. And I stepped back there on the back of the bucket chutes for the first time with that 17,000 people filled in Thomas and Mack and the music and all that. And I'm like, holy crap. I was like, these people are here to see me. You know, I said, I've got to put on a show. And it was just, it was a feeling I can't explain. It's like, I don't know, probably somebody stepping in on stage to receive Academy Award or something. It was a feeling that just was like amazing. And it's a feeling that, you know, will never go away and I'll never have again, because it was just the atmosphere of it, of, you know, being at the Super Bowl rodeo, you know, the crowd cheering and everything going on. It was just, I can't even put it into words. The best I can explain it is, it's like, think back to when you was a kid, to that first really exciting Christmas that you woke up to, and like Santa Claus came and put all the stuff there that you wanted, and you like halfway pee your pants and all that. That's kind of how it was.
What do you guys do during the day out there in Las Vegas between the performances?
Well,
would go
the
down?
first, you know, we'd have some autograph signings and stuff, and especially in 05, you know, when I was in the lead and winning and all that, I had to do a lot of interviews and stuff and go eat lunches and autograph signings. And of course, if I had some downtime, I was going to be on that blackjack tape trying to, I like that blackjack table, but it was a lot of that, a lot of autograph signings, some meetings and stuff, doing publicity stuff, TV stuff, and, you know, try to hang out with my family some and take them to eat, go walk around at Cowboy Christmas and stuff like that. And, but it's so funny because we go to Vegas when we was rodeoing. We'd always go to Logan down in Laughlin there in like March or April. And, you know, and Vegas was just kind of dead. You know, of course, there was still a lot of people, but it was kind of dead. But seeing the difference between there and the time that the national finals is going on, and the amount of people that's there, just not at the rodeo, but in the casinos, watching it on the screens, and you know, the people you see at Cowboy Christmas, and people that you would meet and come talk to you. And it was funny, the first year I'd made it in 04, I was dating a girl named Morgan Montello, and of course we dated for about 3 or 4 years. And we had this deal that if somebody would come up and start talking to me, act like they'd known me for a long time, she would just introduce herself, and I'd be, oh, I'm sorry, you know, because you'd meet so many people, and they'd come up there and start talking to you. Oh yeah, I remember so and so, and I'm like, I'd remember it, but I didn't remember this person's name. So she would step in there and say, oh, I'm Morgan, and I'd be like, oh, you know, where's my manners and stuff like that. So,
he's a very recognizable person, so probably more people recognized him than he recognized them, because when first thing when Jimbo said your name, I said, oh, in my head, the bull rider with glasses, you know. So
yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah,
that's what
you know,
always stuck out in my mind about you for some crazy reason back in the day.
Yeah, you know, Donnie Gay, he gave me the nickname Poindexter because I rode with my glasses.
How many times did you break those glasses?
I didn't break them, but one time.
Really?
Of course, I kept a spare set. A pair I'd wear to the rodeo, and then I had a pair that I would ride in. And I was at Guyman, Oklahoma one time, and I drew Copper Top of Stacy Smith. And that Guyman Rodeo Arena, it's kind of like a pea gravel kind of. That's what it feels like. It's that rough, hard sand. And I remember old Copper Top bucked me off, and he threw me right in front of him, and I landed on my face. Well, that son gun, he just took his head and put it in the small of my back, and he just pushed me kind of head first across that arena for about 5 foot, and he broke my glasses, gave me road rash on my face and everything else. But that was the only time I broke my glasses.
Hey, Matt, Guyman, Oklahoma. How bad does that town need an indoor arena? About the worst I've ever seen.
Bad. You know, and that arena's kind of down in that hole, if I remember, kind of.
It is. It fills up with water, too.
Yeah. You know, and that's a big rodeo, too. You know, they put a indoor arena up there. You know, have more events and stuff like that.
It might be snowing there. It might be 110 degrees there. It might come a flood, and it's going to do it all in the same week during Guyman.
Yeah, that's right. You never know what is going to happen. You know, that's kind of like Cheyenne. It's going to rain at least one time at Cheyenne. It does every year I went. It's going to have one performance where it's going to rain.
Oh, yeah. One time I was roping a steer there at Cheyenne, Jimbo, and right when I was riding in the box came the hardest rain I've ever seen, and you couldn't even see the steer out there when I went.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't stop it. You know, it doesn't matter what it's doing.
No, they didn't stop anything. They said, Cody Garnett, next roper up. Here we go, boys.
Right.
And then came the flood.
Yep. And you know, that's something about some of them rodeos, and it's so funny how it happens. But, you know, like Cheyenne, it's gonna. I don't know of a year that it has not rained. I mean, did it rain any this year?
Oh yeah, they had big rains this year. It looked like.
Yeah. You know, it's gonna rain some point.
Matt, why did you retire when you did?
It was injuries, Jimbo. I mean, I got in 2006. I was having another great year, and you know, I had a $60,000 lead going into the finals. Well, 2 months before the finals, I ripped my groin completely from the bone there at Liberty, Texas, and I went and seen Tandy, and Tandy told me, he said, you got two options. He said, you can do surgery on this, or you can do rehab and try to ride at the finals. And I said, well, you know, we'll do rehab. So I did rehab for about the whole 2 months, and I got to the finals, and I rode my first bull, and I thought, well, man, I can tough this out for 9 more rounds. Well, the second round ended up being the rank pin, and I had a bull, Hal Burns, called Cooper. He was kind of bad in the box, and he's bucking in there and everything else. So I get out on him. Well, I didn't last about 2 jumps, but I put so much strain on my stomach, I tore my abdominal wall, and they call it a sports hernia, where your guts try to push through. So I was done after that. So I had to go all the way to Philadelphia to have surgery. And I'd been riding with a torn ACL in my knee since 2004. I'd taped it up, wore a brace and all that. So I set out about 5 months of 07, was going to come back to riding. Was messing with some young bulls at the house. I was healing up from that groin and that stomach surgery. We was messing with some young bulls at the house, and I stepped off the back of the bucket chute, and I tore the meniscus in my knee. So I went ahead and had knee surgery on that, and they repaired all that. And so I kept coming back, and I broke my elbow. I just kept breaking things, and I never officially retired. I just quit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
My body, it was just an injury after injury after injury, and it's they say when it rains it pours, and that's kind of what it did. You know, I broke my face twice, and my elbow twice, and my right elbow once, and it was just kind of couldn't do it anymore. You know what I mean?
Was that awful hard to give it up?
It was. And I think about it to this day, because, you know, I would have liked to had a few more years, but, you know, I believe everything happens for a reason, too. I believe good Lord might have been keeping me from something, you know, dramatic down the road or something.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing about anything, you know, there's going to come a point in our life that we can't do something anymore.
Right.
But there's still life after life.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and that's a hard thing to understand sometimes, because there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about, you know, riding bulls or ranching or this and that. But when it comes down to it, you know, my main goal, I got to take care of my family, you know, and work, make a living, take care of them, and I think about other things, because that's all I ever did my whole life. And I think, well, you know, go fishing or something like that. And I enjoy that fishing and stuff. But you think about it because, I think about rodeo and every day because it was such a part of my life. I think about bull riding and, all the awards I'd won and stuff. And it means so much to me. And, but when you can't do it no more, you still think about it. Right. It's like a professional athlete, but there's life after life after life. And, I've got 2 youngins and now it's time to go live what they want to do. Maybe one day they have grandkids I'll be chasing around or something. There's always life after life after life. And that's something that we have to look at, Just because we can't do it no more doesn't mean we can't still be a part of it.
Oh, for sure.
It's always it's always a part of us. It's something that's never going to leave us.
Matt?
Yes, sir.
How does a guy recover from a broken face? I'm just wondering.
Oh.
What's the recovery process like? Is it just like a broken skull? Is it just, I don't even know. Never met that many guys that broke their face.
I broke mine twice in 2004. I broke my eye socket in Fort Worth in 2004. They went in there and he put 4 plates in my right eye socket. And, of course, I woke up, when can I ride? That was the mentality. When can I ride? They're trying to tell me what happened, and I woke up and I'm like, well, when can I ride again, So I only had to sit out for like a month or so with that. Of course, I had to wear a face mask for a little bit. But I broke my face again in 2004 at the National Finals in the 10th round. It come down to the 10th round. All I had to do was stay on my bull to win the world. And I had a bull of 5-star rodeos down there in Florida, or Silver Spurs, called Delightful Doug, and he is a bucker. And I'd seen him a couple rounds before buck off Paulo Creamer. And like I say, I got a chance to win a world championship. And the very first jump out, he throws his head back up, and he hits me right in the left side of my face. Of course, when it did, it kind of knocked me off balance. And I held on for dear life, and I rode him right to the whistle. I rode him like 7-6, and I remember walking out, my face is crushed in, and my nose is right in line with my right eye. And I'm walking out, and J. Pat Evans, he's like, "Hey, sit here, Matt. You still might have won the world." And I'm like, "J. Pat, I don't care." I said, "Get me out of here. I'm hurting." So of course, Tandy X-rayed me, and I broke my cheek, and Tandy said, he said, he didn't want me to have surgery there in Vegas because he said the doctors were like that. He said, if you can stand the pain for a few days and get back home, we'll set you up with Dallas. I said, okay. But the funny thing was we drove out there, me and my driver, so we drove back. And it was so funny getting out at the gas station to get something to drink or use the bathroom, and my face is all crushed in, and I'm getting all these looks, and it looks like I just stepped out of a horror movie, And but that time they went in there and they had to put 6 plates in there to repair that. But I like to tell people I'm still handsome from it, so I hadn't gotten any uglier.
Holy moly! I've been on the motto: once they get too big to rope, I eat them, just so I don't get my face broken from riding them.
Yeah, that's right. But I had a great career. I was really, really blessed, and people asked me if I could do it over again, what would I change? And I said, well, I probably wouldn't change nothing. I said, I probably would have saved more money is probably what I'd done.
Well, can't have no fun doing that.
Yeah. You only live once, so you might as well enjoy it,
Jimbo, when he's talking about everyone else turned out at Deadwood that time, and he went and got on the bull and rode him. Last time I went to Deadwood, I think I won a little money, but I left every penny there. And then I had to write the secretary a hot check the next morning to get enough cash to get on down the road to Burwell.
Hey, I'll tell y'all a funny story about Deadwood. We was up there, and it was me and my driver and Brian Richardson and Clayton Fultain. Well, Clayton, he'd been in NFR several times and bull riding. He won I think he's won Cheyenne in the bareback riding and the bull riding both. And Clayton, we called him Short Bus when we rodeo, because Clayton, he's always kind of just the dumb one. I mean, I love it. He's a dear friend of mine, but we just call him Short Bus. He's a little slow, you know. And of course, this is when he was 18, his rookie year, or whatever. And he had a fake ID of some guy, a California fake ID. And we're in Deadwood playing blackjack at one of them saloons, you know.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there playing and all this. Well, the lady, she kind of looks at Clayton. She says, "Well, I'm gonna need to look at your ID." And of course, Clayton hands him this ID, this California address, and she looks at it. She says, "Whatever town." She says, "Where exactly is this in California?" And he says, "Oh, it's just 60 miles straight west of San Francisco." Well, 60 miles straight of San Francisco is in the middle of the daggum ocean.
Right.
And my buddy starts laughing, and she kind of looks at my buddy Brad, because she don't know what he's laughing about. She goes, "Oh, I know exactly where that's at. I've been there." Clayton done lied about him where he lives, but this lady just knows exactly where it's at. She done been there. Well, it's 60 miles out the ocean, and we got the biggest kick out of that time. We didn't let them live it down forever, because it was just they're like, "Clayton, you dumb butt, you know. If you're going to run this fake ID, you better get where you're going." He said, "What? It's 60 miles straight west of San Francisco." I said, "Clayton, do you know where that's at? That's the middle of the daggone ocean." He said, "Oh." So we got a good kick out of that, and it was a lot of fun.
I had one of them, Jimbo, but it said I was from Utah back in the day. I got kicked out of the letterbuck room. They didn't let me in there with my Utah ID.
Oh, man, I've been to the letterbuck room.
I'd tell you a story or two about it, Jimbo, but then I don't remember them. I made memories for everybody else in there.
Right. Matt.
Yeah, those are good times.
Yeah. One last thing. I want to put you on the spot just a little bit.
Okay.
Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of bull riders? I need 4 names.
4 names of probably the greatest of all time?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be people you actually rodeoed with or anything, just of all time.
4 names.
Yep.
For the Mount Rushmore of bull riding.
For the Mount Rushmore of bull riding. You know, I would have to say, I'd have to say J.B. Mooney on one of them, because, you know, that guy, he's rode every ranked bull, and, you know, he just had that knock back down mentality. You know, probably,
I think he made the PRCA bull riding on top again. You know, he really brought it back. I feel like the last year, of bulls here.
Yeah, he's so
did.
popular too. You know, a fan favorite.
Yeah. And JB's one of them guys. I mean, he's just tough. He's just pure D, just cowboy tough. You know, so he would have to be on there. I would say Cody Custer. You know, Cody Custer, 92 world champion, and he's such a great ambassador for the sport of bull riding. You know, and what he stands for in his walk with the Lord and everything. He'd be up there. I would have to say Brent Thurman. He died at the 94 National Finals, I believe. But Brent was one of my favorite guys watching growing up. That guy would just go to them bulls, and I mean, just his attitude, and he always had a smile on his face. And to me, those are the kind of guys that leave that lasting impression. And I think as a young kid, that's probably what drew me to Brent was his demeanor. You know, of course, I never met him, but just the smile on his face and the atmosphere that he put off. And then of course, you'd have Lane Frost would have to be up there. You know, just because of the lives that Lane's touched. Even after he's gone, you know, the lives that he still touches when people hear the story of Lane Frost and the person that he was, and
he
so
just
that would be.
Lane's just as popular now as he ever was, you know.
Yeah, you know,
little kids that never saw him, you know who Lane Frost was.
What about Terry Don? What about Freckles Brown? What about Jim Shoulders?
You know,
what are we gonna do here?
You know, Well, like you
What
say,
about Tough Eating? What we going to do here?
You might have to tap a little bit. And the way I did it, I looked at mine, I guess the way I put Mount Rushmore, I went with JB because it's the old school cowboy tough mentality. Cody Custer, that guy, just the impact he's made on the sport, and he's still trying to help these guys
he's
get better.
He's a good guy. All around good
guy. Yeah. And to me, I
someone
think
to look up to.
Exactly. I think Mount Rushmore would be, basically for the guys that I've seen that's really impacted the sport, that leaves that lasting impression. And I was listening to a deal about Tough, and how much Lane changed Tough, especially after his death. He said he remembers Lane, they'd be late getting somewhere because Lane would stop and talk to every kid. Tough said, I wouldn't do that. He said, I don't give a crap, but he said after Lane died, he said it changed him, And Tough said he takes his time and he's going to talk and he's going to sign autographs and he's going to do all that stuff now. So, those guys like Lane and stuff is just changed the
Jim Sharp. What about Jim Sharp?
Oh,
First
Jim Sharp was
10.
like.
What about Adriano? What about Adriano?
Oh yeah,
he's not American. He can't go on our Mount Rushmore bull ride. I guess.
Jim Sharp's one of them guys that could go on there because Jim was to me, Jim was a machine. You seen Jim ride the same way his whole life, and he just bowled that chest out there and just sat right in the middle, and he rode the hell out of him, and Jim was one of them guys, that just he done it all. And Jim was a guy that worked at it too. You seen Jim Sharp. You had muscles and forearms and Jim's a quiet guy too, but they called him the Razor for a reason because he was slick as that edge, and he could ride them bulls.
I remember him riding 10 when I was a kid at the finals. That was really something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only been a handful of guys do that.
3 guys.
3 guys. Who are they? Adriano, Jim Sharp, and who? Michael Gaffney.
Norman Curry.
Gosh dang it.
Norman Curry. Yeah. Norman Curry. Dewberry, Texas.
I remember watching Cody Custer ride in the 10th round at the NFR. Wolfman. Little spinning bull.
Yeah.
I think this year he might have won the world. That was really something to watch.
Yeah, Cody, I tell you what, Cody was a bull riding son of a gun, And we call him, of course, I'm really good friends with Cody. And Cody, he doesn't look like he's aged a bit. He looks the same guy as he always been, And Cody, he's such what you see is what you get with Cody. There's no BS about him. He walks the walk and talks the talk, and he loves us trying to help these kids get better, And he's all about, getting these kids on bulls that they can ride, to build their confidence, to try to make these kids tough and try to get them, these parents sending these kids get on 22-point bulls when they're not ready. I know Cody's done the junior high finals the last couple of years, and they put the bulls together, and those kids, the average, their riding percentages is way up and way better, and he's all about promoting the sport, helping it get better, helping it grow, helping the kids to get better, not showing them up and putting on these 22, 23-point calves and putting them on 20 and 21-point bulls that they can ride and dominate to get that confidence where they're not just getting their ass kicked every time,
Yeah, there's nowhere but up for this sport of bull riding. I don't know about the whole sport of rodeo in general, Jimbo, but I know the sport of bull riding, it's an endless future for them. It's going to be as big as the UFC or something one of these days.
It looks like it. It just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I think the only thing where they would have a downfall on that as far as like the riders, if they got to start, and that's something that Cody is trying to help them with, help the sport of bull riding grow, is with these getting these kids, when they showing up. I remember going out to the Texas High School Finals a few years ago, and I'm seeing these high school kids get on 22, 23-point bulls, and they're getting their butts handed to them when that's not what they need. Everything has a level of competition that needs to be stepped up. That's like showing up at the high school finals with bushwhackers. You don't do that. Them kids, there's a different level in those kids' abilities their strength and all that, you know, you got to get to that next level. I know as for me, when I rode steers, then I rode Pee-wee bulls, it was time for me to get on junior bulls. Well, I got on a couple, and my dad already seen I wasn't ready. Of course, I was mad because I had to stay at the house for a year, but physically and mentally, I wasn't ready. And if my dad would have let me go, I probably would have never been a world champion bull rider because I probably would have been hurt, crippled up, couldn't have done anything. But my dad seen that, and a lot of parents now don't see that. They say, "Well, my kid he excelled at steer riding. Oh, he excelled at junior bull riding. Well, we got to go to the top level." No, there's steps you got to take to get to that process.
You know,
and that's where Cody's trying to help them out.
You know, Jimbo, the other day when I was talking, you know, the PBR guys, they need to be selling, you know, their shirts, JB Mooney shirts, and whoever, Ed and I, Camina, whoever the big PBR bull riders, they ought to be selling their shirts just like you can buy your favorite wrestler shirt when you go to a wrestling match or whatever.
Right.
But you know something they do sell at those?
What's that?
Their favorite bull stuff. The Bulls got just as big a following as the Cowboys, Jimbo. You can buy a plush of the bull. You can buy a poster of the bull. You can buy anything of the bull, but you can't buy anything of your favorite cowboy. Think about that.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
You're
Think
right.
about that
That might
for a
be a big marketing deal there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause you can buy bushwhacker dolls and all that stuff.
Well, go to any NASCAR race, and every single NASCAR racer has their own trailer selling their merch, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that the bull riders are really missing out not selling bull rider merch of your favorite rider. So
That's right.
boy, hit them up about that, Matt.
Yeah,
you get
I'm
back
gonna
in the
have
rodeo
to.
business as with this idea, just being the t-shirt guy. You could be the
I might get to
you could be the
retire
roadie
earlier.
for the PBR.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I just don't know why we can't go buy a Matt Austin shirt at the bull riding, you know, or whoever. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think we should one of these days.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there for a while, you know, back in the late '90s, you know, they had those trading cards there for the PBR. You know, I still got some somewhere, but I don't. You know, that's kind of when baseball cards and all that was kind of on its way out. But you know, yeah, I don't know why you can't go somewhere and you know, especially buy memorabilia or something like that. You know, I used to have a bunch of old sponsor shirts that I'd sell like on eBay and stuff, and I make some money on them things.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about just a T-shirt for your fans. That's it.
Yeah.
How many would JB Mooney sell at a PBR event or a PRCA event?
Oh,
he'd sell out every time. He'd have to reorder between rodeos, but
you know, because he's got them good sayings too, like "just bad" or this and that, and
any of them in the top 25. Justin McBride would still be selling shirts. J.W. Hart would still be selling shirts with him on it. Adriano would still be selling. Ty Murray would still be selling shirts, you know. Even the legends would still be selling their merch, I think. But
and I don't know why they don't really do that, you know.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. You can buy all the bull merch. You can go buy a bushwhacker doll and a bushwhacker poster, but you can't get the guy that wrote him.
Yeah, and it may be it may be a deal because
they just need to pay these guys for it, you know.
Exactly.
Hey, if they sell 10 shirts, give them $10 or something, you know. But whatever.
As far as like merchandise on like NFL players and stuff, like they're part of the franchise, so they make. I don't know if they get any money off of it or not, but they're getting paid.
Well, we went to the Oklahoma City Thunder game the other day, and you could buy a jersey of every single player they've ever had on the roster. So
yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And you can still buy them at
I agree.
Walmart and Foot Locker and everywhere, you know, anywhere they sell sports stuff. You can buy something I think you can even buy some plush bulls like at Walmart and stuff of some of these bulls. But
yeah,
none of the riders.
Yeah.
That's all I've just kind of been thinking about.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it's kind of mind blowing that they don't.
Well, you know, they got 20,000 people show up per event to watch these guys. They all know their household names now, but you can't buy a T-shirt or a cap or a picture for an autograph or anything. So I don't know. It's something to think about.
That's right.
Well, Matt, Jimbo, you got anything else for Matt?
Well, just thank him for taking the time out of his day to visit with us today. And we, I'm sure when this podcast comes out that your fans will really enjoy listening to you and your old stories and reminiscing a little bit and catching up on what you're doing and now and everything. And we just really appreciate it. And if you ever get up here in the Osage, up here in Oklahoma, why, be sure and look us up. Come by the museum. We'll give you a tour. Pawhuska's got a lot to kids and family to do. We're getting to be quite the tourist attraction now, and we'd love to see you up here sometime.
Yeah, well, my mom actually, I told her I was doing this podcast, and she'd actually come up there a couple of years ago, and she bought a book from you. She bought one of those 50 years of rodeo books from there. You know, it had me in it, but her and my aunt went up there and toured the museum and stuff. So yeah, we'd get up there sometime. We'll come see you guys.
Yeah, we'd love that, and I'll let you know when this podcast is going to come out and how to find it and everything.
Okay, sounds good. Well,
I got an idea, Jimbo.
What's that?
This Mount Rushmore bull riding. Let's put Matt on there.
It's all right with me.
There's not an all-around better guy.
Nobody ever had a better year.
Seems like
and you talk about 2005. You know, it was just I probably win about $500,000 that year because I win everything there was. I won the national finals. I won the gold buckle. I won the CBR year in and the average at their finals. I won Xtreme Bulls year in and the average at their finals. I won the College National Finals.
Wow.
I win my college region. I win the Super Bowl Tour. You know, I probably got on. I probably got on 250 headed bulls that year. I was going everywhere, and
well, you got to when you're that hot. You win them as fast as you get to them.
Yeah, that was just a amazing year.
Sure was. One for the ages.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and recently last year I got inducted into the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame, and then this year I just got inducted to the Bull Riding Hall of Fame.
Took them long enough.
I know it took them long enough, and I saw that, and I failed to mention that. I meant to mention that, and congratulations.
We're going to be in trouble
thank you.
on this Mount Rushmore deal. We didn't need no one mentioned Don Gay on the thing.
I know it.
He's got to be in consideration.
Yeah, that's what's hard about just picking four guys. It's hard to leave some of those guys off. But I like the way Matt did it because he didn't just count gold buckles like a lot of people would. He counted other things, what kind of person they were, the influence they had on the sport. And that's a person can just use his own criteria when he's doing that Mount Rushmore, and I like the way you did it. Yeah,
and that's how I kind of look at mine. It's kind of people that, of course, there's so many people that's influenced my life. Donnie was one of those guys that influenced my life, but, looking back at things now and just looking at things, and just people that's still impacting lives in different ways, not just in bull riding or for the bull riding sport, but just in people's lives in general,
Right.
Well, Matt, we sure appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. It was my pleasure. If I can do anything else to help you guys, y'all just let me know.
Jimbo, this guy's a tough son of a gun. It just dawned on me. He told me he was doing some welding, and I looked at the date. It's the 2nd or 3rd of August right now, and he's out there welding. Holy moly.
Well, I'm like I say, today was my day off, but we was out there, I don't know, it was about a week ago. Of course, I work on these big old drag lines in the coal mine, so you never know what we're going to have to do, but I don't know, that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was like 110, and we had a big break. Me and a buddy was on the side of that machine, and we didn't have no shade, and we was in direct sun welding for 12 hours straight.
Well, Matt, I was a welder for like 41 years myself, and in the oil field here in Oklahoma, and I know what you mean. You got to get it, and it's always the best weld they got that's down or broke that you got to be fixed, and it doesn't matter what the weather is, and I understand.
Hey, they don't pay you with their own coal mine money, do you? You have to spend in the coal mine store there in town, do you?
No.
Just making sure they're not treating you like that.
No. And it's funny because people say, "What do you do now?" I say, "I work in the coal mine." Of course, I automatically think, "Man, I don't want to go underground." Well, it's not an underground mine. It's a surface. It's a surface mine, and it's down here in Central Texas. course, they're fixing to open another one up close to me, so I may apply for a boss's job one day. So,
well, Matt, try to stay cool welding this time of year, man.
I will. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a good one, Jimbo.
It sure was.
Until next week, this has been the Cowboys of the Osage podcast. See y'all later.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, Cowboys of the Osage.